Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sports Blitz here, and we're back with another NFL mock draft. Before I get into it, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Guys, today we have the Myles Garrett trade brewing here. And there may be another trade included as well. We're going to kind of explore some options here. But very first, let's get that Myles Garrett one brewing. We have the Buffalo Bills making a trade with Cleveland for Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett made it very clear he wants to play for a contender. And to me, I feel like the Bills feel like the most likely. If not, I would argue Eagles next. Some people might be saying, like, why not the Detroit Lions? Pair him up with Aiden Hutchinson when he's healthy. My argument for that, which I don't hate the take. I really don't. My argument with that is the past couple years, really under the Dan Campbell era, we haven't really seen the Lions make trades for players in the NFL. Specifically, what they've been doing is trading for picks. I mean, for instance, like the Matt Stafford, Jared Goff trade. Let's be real, they traded Stafford, hoping Jared Goff would just be a solid interim quarterback. He's kind of turned into a lot more than that, so that's great. As well as the two firsts. They also made that trade with, I think it was Minnesota, when they went and got Jamison Williams. But you haven't really seen them make trades for like big name players in the NFL. So that's why I'd kind of exclude the Lions from something like that. I could see the Eagles doing it for sure. I mean, going back to a couple years ago, that big trade they made for A.J. Brown, they're not afraid to do stuff like that. But the Bills just feel like the most likely team here. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer pick 30, next year's first, pick 62, the later of their second round picks. Now, I think depending on the team that does trade for him, they may not require next year's first. Like if it was a top 10 team trading for him instead, I don't think it would require a 2026 first. I think for the Bills, where they're selecting at the very end of the draft, and you're basically kind of getting into essentially second round pick territory, I mean, I think they're going to need quite a bit more value there, because the 30th overall pick is not the same as a top 10 pick. It's just not. So I think right here, I think that's pretty solid value for Myles Garrett. We're going to say on the Cleveland side, we're just going to say this 5th round pick represents Myles Garrett, because obviously in this simulator, you can't select specific players. So we're just going to have that 5th round pick represent him. So we're going to send that through. Obviously, Cleveland accepts it because, well, it's essentially giving up a future 5th for all that. So why wouldn't they? So with that, it goes ahead and kicks off our mock draft. So I am going to go ahead and start the Tennessee Titans off with quarterback Cam Ward. I think this just kind of feels like a lock for them at this point. I know you can really entertain the idea of Abdul Carter, as, in my opinion, he's the best player in the draft. I don't really think there's that much argument there. But I think the Titans are kind of in a spot that they really do not want to go into next year's draft, or next year's, season with Will Levis. And I don't know, maybe they take a chance on Abdul Carter and then see if maybe, like, I don't know, Jackson Dart or Milrow or something is available at pick 35. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's the smart thing to do either. I do like Jackson Dart, though. I will say I like Dart, but I mean, Cam Ward is going to be a really good quarterback, I think. Um, I think he's a noticeable level and step above Shador Sanders. So, anyways, going on to the Browns pick. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious here who we have to take. I mean, look at who you just gave up. It's Abdul Carter. That's not really a discussion anymore. He's the pick. Giants on the board now, and I am going to... I'm going to go ahead and give them... Man, I'm thinking here. I'm going to give them Shador Sanders, all right? But I have been on the fence here. Like, in one of my last mock drafts, I gave them Tet McMillan. I still think that's a solid option. I also had them coming up a few spots for Jackson Dart, which I think is a really good pairing in New York. I got a lot of flack for that argument, but, you know. I think having Tet and Malik Neighbors with Jackson Dart, who in my mind really isn't that far behind Shador Sanders. In fact, maybe a better current passer than Sanders. I mean, I really like the fit. But anyways, today we are going to do Shador Sanders. I think the Giants have options here. They really do. They've got plenty of options there. So then with pick 4 here, I'm going to give Drake May the best weapon in the draft in Tet McMillan. This is one that I've said before that if he's still there at 4, Patriots have got to take him. I don't think it'd be smart to take one of these tackles or guards or whatever, or even Mason Graham over Tet McMillan. I really like some of these other players, but McMillan is going to elevate Drake May's play so much. He definitely needs some big wide receiver help over there. So, Jags on the board. Now, usually here, I've been saying in the past that it's going to be one of the Michigan guys, either Will Johnson or Mason Graham. I believe Will Johnson is the better corner over Travis Hunter. But I was kind of thinking about this. Travis Hunter is still going to be a really solid corner. If he can help them out on offense a little bit, which they do need wide receiver help, maybe he ends up being a pretty solid fit there. So I'm going to go Travis Hunter to the Jags right there. I think that could be a pretty nice pick. Now I did this in one of my last few drafts. Gave Ashton Genty to the Raiders, and again, I got a lot of flack for it. I don't think that Pete Carroll would be against doing this. He is a very much Marshawn Lynch-esque type running back, and I don't think Pete Carroll would be opposed to getting a dog like that back at running back, you know? It just feels like a Pete Carroll type of move to me, you know? Jets are on the board. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to give them Will Johnson this time. That's another spot there that I think they take one of the Michigan players. Either Mason Graham or Will Johnson. I think either one would be an amazing pick. They're both just great players. Will Johnson and Sauce Gardner paired up, that's going to be one of the best corner duos in the league, especially with DJ Reed likely leaving in free agency. I mean, I think Will Johnson is going to be great with Sauce Gardner. So, with that, Mason Graham is still on the board. I don't think this is a spot that the Panthers could even consider passing on. So I'm going to give him to the Panthers here at number 8. So number 9, the Saints are on the board. I'm going to go ahead and give them edge rusher Myles Williams. I really like him. I've been kind of going back and forth for the Saints on him, Mike Green, and James Pierce. I think any of them would be a good fit, but Myles Williams, he just kind of feels like a Saints type of defensive lineman, you know? Like, you look at his size and power and everything, and he really reminds you a lot of, like, Cam Jordan. And I think that's the type of guy that they want to get back on that D-line, you know? A younger Cam Jordan. So I think Saints would absolutely love to get Myles Williams there. Number 10, Bears are on the board. I'm going to go ahead and have them take Will Campbell out of LSU. Get Caleb as much help as possible right there. Niners on the board. I also think they look for the trenches right here. I'm going to give them Kelvin Banks out of Texas. I could also see them maybe targeting a more specific guard instead. I mentioned before I really like Tyler Booker out of Alabama. I think he is a fantastic guard. So they could definitely go after a guy like that. But in this one, no. Then we have the Dallas Cowboys on the board here at number 12. I'm going to go and have them take my favorite player in the draft, actually, in Jalen Walker. He reminds me a lot of, like, a Frankie Louvu. I would even kind of draw similar comparisons to even DeMarvion Overshown. Probably with a higher motor, though. I think you get him in that defense paired with, obviously, Overshown, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, that defense, especially the front seven, gets nasty. You know, like, pressure coming at you, like, every single play. Like, he is going to be a great fit on that defense. Really, like, as long as the defensive coordinator knows how to use him, Walker would be a great addition to any defense. Because, I mean, look, you can set him on the edge, and he'll make a great pass rush to the quarterback. You have him blitz the A or B gap, and he's in the quarterback's face. You have him just back as a off-ball linebacker, and he's stopping the run really well or sniffing out screens. Like, he is a good player in all areas. I don't think he's going to be too much of, like, a pass coverage guy in the league, but I don't think that's something he can't do, you know? Like, I could see them putting him back in pass coverage, you know, a few times a game, and maybe he'll make a play here and there. But he's definitely more of a pass rusher, really off the edge or blitzing. So, Dolphins on the board, and I don't know if there has been a single mock draft I've had that I haven't had them take this player. I love this fit so much. Like, one of my favorite fits in the league, or in the draft. Malachi Starks out of Georgia. I truly believe it's a real possibility that they lose Javon Holland in free agency. And if they do, I mean, Malachi Starks is a hell of a replacement there. shores up that back end significantly well. Colts on the board, and I am going to go ahead and have them take tight end Tyler Warren out of Penn State. That's another one that just feels like a good fit. Like, the Colts need a tight end so bad. And really, like, Tyler Warren, he draws comparisons to Brock Bowers right away. I think he's a better blocker than Bowers. Bowers may be a little bit better in the receiving game, but Warren is so much more well-rounded, but excellent at everything. Like, he's gonna be an elite tight end year one. So then for the Falcons at pick 15, I'm going to go ahead and give them another one of my guys. And honestly, this hurts me to do as a Panthers fan. I really hate giving the Falcons a stud like this. Mike Green out of Marshall. I mean, this dude is a beast. I mean, the Senior Bowl already rose his stock significantly. The Combine's going to raise it even more. I mean, we may be talking about him as more often as a top 10 pick before too long. I really hate having to give him to the Falcons right here. I almost said the Vikings, but no, the Falcons. He's so quick and explosive off the edge. I mean, I love him as a prospect. I really do. Cardinals on the board. I'm going to go ahead and give them edge rusher James Pierce out of Tennessee. I've mentioned in the past he's not as explosive as a guy like Mike Green. He is very long, though. I think he knows how to use his hands. He just needs to get a little bit better speed off the edge and know how to use his power better. I think starting off in the NFL, like, he's gonna take some development. He's not gonna come in and immediately be a double-digit sack guy. Which, I mean, that's kind of a lot to demand from a rookie anyways. But he's gonna take some development. It's gonna take a little bit. But long-term, I could see him being a really good fit for the Cardinals. Bengals on the board now. And I'm going to go ahead and actually give them who I believe to be the best remaining corner in the draft. And that is actually... where is he? Am I totally missing him? I'm talking about Jahdae Barron. Am I totally missing him? I didn't have anybody take him already. Am I totally missing him? Jahdae Barron. Am I blind? Is he listed? Okay, that's the issue. They listed him as a safety. But I mean, he's really a corner. He really is. I have him as my best remaining corner in the draft. I think he's going to be a phenomenal addition to that Bengals defense that really got torn up quite a bit during the season. I realize they need kind of help everywhere on defense. Rushing the passer, other than Trey Hendrickson, of course. Stopping the run. They could use some linebacker help. They could use some safety help. But Jahdae Barron will help that defense significantly. Seahawks on the board now. I'm going to go ahead and give them... Tyler Booker out of Alabama. I just think he's a phenomenal interior lineman. And honestly, like, the stronger you can get in the trenches for Seattle, the less you have to rely on, Geno Smith throwing the ball a lot every game because you're able to run the ball better. So, Bucks on the board now. I'm going to go ahead and give them Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. I have him graded higher than Siobhan Revel. I think he's another great fit for the Bucks right there. Broncos are up now, and I'm going to go ahead and give them tight end Colston Loveland out of Michigan. Another really good tight end. This is a quite deep tight end class. Like, there's a lot of tight ends here that will come in and instantly be the number one guy on their team. So, really like that fit with Denver. Pittsburgh on the board, and I'm going to go ahead and give them Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. I think he's just a lot better fit for them than Luther Burden. Honestly, as a whole, I like Egbuka better than Burden. Burden is a fun wide receiver, but I don't see him as a guy that's like gonna be able to do it all in the NFL. I see Egbuka as a much better route runner. I think he's got just as good, if not better, hands. Honestly, I feel like with the Steelers situation right now, a really, really clean route runner with reliable hands is going to be the better type of receiver here. Because, again, Luther Burden can be fun, but I don't think he's a great route runner. I don't think he's going to be a great, like, jump ball guy. And I get that. I get it. Like, jump balls aren't necessarily Egbuka's strong point either. But the way he is able to run his routes and separate a lot better, like, I draw comparisons to Ladd McConkey. I really do. So, yeah, that's what I'd say about that one. For the Chargers on the board, I think we give them... this might be a good spot for Luther Burden. Because they've already gotten their number one guy in Ladd McConkey. He's that really reliable route runner that's shifty, able to separate, and really just reliable hands. Really their only truly reliable receiver right now. Luther Burden could definitely open up that offense a lot more. I think open up deep passes a lot more. He's a guy that, like, you throw a bubble screen to and he could take it the distance. So, yeah, where they already have their number one receiver, I think Burden could be a really nice addition there. Again, I just don't love the fit in Pittsburgh because I think they're looking more for a guy that's going to end up being a number one receiver, and I just don't feel great about Burden being that number one go-to every down type of guy. Like, you need to play, let's go to Burden, Like, you guys get what I'm saying right there? I don't know if I explained that very well. Anyways, I think he's a better fit with the Chargers. But Packers on the board now, and I'm going to go ahead and give them cornerback Siobhan Revel because I think it's pretty likely they end up losing Jair Alexander in free agency. Or I don't... Is he a current free agent, or are they just talking about potentially cutting him? either way, I don't see him really being with the team this next year. So either way, I don't think he's going to be a Packer. So Vikings on the board, and I'm going to go ahead and give them. Let's see. I'm going to give them defensive tackle Walter Nolan. He's another guy that absolutely blew it up at the Senior Bowl. Really, really impressive player. Like, I think he's like 6'7". What was it? Was it like 290? I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on the weight, but I think he was like 6'7", and I think like 290. Really fast off the line of scrimmage, really quick get off. I think that could really help that D line there. Texans on the board. I'm gonna go ahead and give them some more protection and really my best remaining tackle in the class with Josh Simmons from Ohio State. Rams take the next best remaining tackle in Cam Williams. Ravens on the board now. I think about here is where you start to look at Nick Scorton from Texas A&M. I think that really helps that Ravens pass rush significantly. And as we all know, like, the Ravens like their pass rushers. Like, they like to have a lot of really, really solid, talented pass rushers that can also stop the run. And Nick Scorton's a perfect fit there because he's really solid at stopping the run too. Lions on the board here. And I think we go Shamar Stewart now. He's kind of a guy that I've kind of seen on the fence with, like, really late first round into early second round. Like, I like him. I think he's going to be solid. He's just got to... Honestly, I think he's got to work on playing smart better. Because what I saw watching his tape was that there were a lot of times that, like, say the opposing team was doing like a read option. He would always either book it straight for the quarterback and the running back would totally get away from him and pick up a ton of yardage, or vice versa, that he'd go straight for the running back and the quarterback would go clear around him. I think he bites on stuff like that too easily, but being with a team like the Lions and even having a pass rush partner with Aiden Hutchinson, he's going to be able to get that coaching to help him, like, know what situations to bite on and what not to bite on. And I think that's just, that is a perfect spot for him to land. So, yeah, as long as Shamar Stewart lands somewhere that he can develop and actually learn from smart coaches and players, he's going to be just fine. Washington on the board now. I am going to go ahead and have them take... Let's see. Is Matthew Golden the best receiver available? Yeah. I like it, but I don't like it at the same time. Golden's solid. Trey Harris is solid. I really like Isaiah Bond. But I don't know if you take him quite at 29. But also, I don't know who else to really have him take here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and have them take Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas. I think they're kind of in that spot that, like, all of the really good receivers are gone, but they haven't gotten quite late enough into the draft to, like, really feel good about selecting receivers there, but Golden, I think, is the best one to take a chance on right there. So, Browns here at 30, and I don't know if Browns fans are going to like this. Probably not. They usually don't. But I am going to go ahead and have them take quarterback Jackson Dart. And the reason for this is, I mean, this last week or so, the amount of noise that I have heard around Jackson Dart has been insane. And I heard another rumor specifically with the Browns that they like him enough that they'd consider taking him with a very early pick. So I think if they didn't take him right here, maybe still take him at 33. I think as like an alternate option, maybe the Browns could take maybe like Armand Membu right there at 30 instead, and then Jackson Dart at 33, because, I mean, let's be real. Eagles aren't taking him, and Chiefs aren't taking him right there. So 33 is very realistic. So, yeah, I don't hate that argument for, taking Membu first. But I'm gonna go ahead and have them take Jackson Dart right here. I'm falling for the smoke on him. I think he's gonna be good. Especially in a particularly weak quarterback class where not a lot of these other guys are gonna be all that great. I mean, I'm not super high on Milrow. Ewers has kind of disappointed me. I thought he was going to end up being good, and this year was very disappointing. I think Will Howard is insanely overrated. Dylan Gabriel could be solid, but he's going to take a lot of work. And I'm going to be honest, some of these other guys are low enough that I haven't even really studied them enough to really say. So, look, if it's not Jackson Dart, it's essentially no one. And I don't think the Browns want to go into next year with no one. So maybe we'll get some more answers in free agency. Maybe they go after like Kirk Cousins or, someone like that. But I think even then, I could see them making a strong push for Dart. I really could. So the Eagles on the board here. And I've been saying a lot that I really like Jahad Campbell as a comparison to Jalen Walker. I think he's really good at rushing the passer. I think he's going to shine in a couple different areas, though. I think he's going to be I think he's going to be better in pass coverage, but not quite as effective in rushing the passer. I think in terms of stopping the run, they're going to be pretty neck and neck. I think he's a really smart player. I know the Eagles don't typically like taking a linebacker early. In fact, I can remember very vividly in past years, I've had the Eagles take a linebacker in the first round, and Eagles fans didn't particularly like that. But look, Jahad Campbell's a stud. How do you not? So, now the Chiefs on the board, and I'm going to go ahead and have them take offensive tackle Armand Membu here. I think this is kind of one of those spots that, like, where I mentioned him for the Browns earlier. Again, maybe the Browns take him there at 30 and then take Dart at 33 instead. Unfortunately, I kind of messed that up with this one. Let's just say, for example, the Browns did take Membu instead. I think Tyleik Williams instead would be the pick. I think Tyleik Williams would be the pick instead. So, have them take Membu. Again, if he doesn't happen to be there. Tyreek Williams. So, let me know what you think of the mock draft in the comment section below. Let me know how much you hate or love, preferably love, this mock draft. It's probably going to be a lot more hate. That's how the comment section usually goes. But let me know, and I'll see you next time. Later.